Far-right protesters took to the streets of London and they demanded the rejection of Theresa May's Brexit deal. They also demanded Britain's withdrawal from the European Union. The march was organised by the UK Independent Party, or the UKIP. Protesters were seen holding flags of the European and North American and far-right and white nationalist movement. The march was led by UKIP leader Gerard Blayton and Tommy Robinson. The two addressed the protesters at Whitehall. Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal goes for vote on Tuesday. Saudi Arabia has refused to extradite to Turkey two of its citizens who are suspects in the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. One of the Saudi citizens is Saud al-Khatani, who is an aide to the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. A second suspect is General Ahmed al-Asiri, who was the deputy head of foreign intelligence of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister Adil al-Jubair said, and I quote, "We don't extradite our citizens." Not just that, the foreign minister also refused to confirm whether the duo have been detained. The Turkish chief prosecutor had filed warrants for their arrest. The leaders of some of the Arab countries were caught in a diplomatic crisis when the Emir of Qatar chose to give up the Gulf Summit amiss. The Arab leaders were meeting at Riyadh for the regional summit. Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani chose to avoid the meeting and sent a representative instead. Qatar was represented by its Minister of Foreign Affairs Sultan bin Saad Al Muraiki. Qatar has led the boycott of Saudi Arabia for over a year now. GCC members Bahrain, Saudi Arabia and the UAE cut ties with Qatar in the summer of 2017. Qatar was isolated for supporting Islamist opposition groups that were viewed as terrorists by the Arab countries. Belgian PM Charles Michel reshuffled the government. The move came after the country's leading coalition said that it could not accept Belgium backing of a UN Migrants Pact that is due to be endorsed early next week. Belgian centre government has been teetering on the brink of collapse for days now. The government finally decided to end coalition ties with the party that was against the UN Pact. It was earlier in September that Belgian Prime Minister Michel committed to endorsing the UN Pact at the World Forum, and he said late on Saturday that he will stand by his word. Nick Ayers, who is the chief of staff to the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence, said that he is leaving the White House and that he will not be President Trump's next chief of staff. Ayers said that in a tweet that he will vacate his office at the end of the year and will work with Make America Great Again team to advance the cause. According to reports, Ayers was skeptical of taking the top administrative job based on the challenges that Kelly and his predecessors faced. It was on Saturday that Trump announced Kelly's exit from the key post by the end of the year. The southern U.S. has been hit by a massive snowstorm. It brought along with it sleet and freezing rain. Parts of southern U.S. is now battling icy roads and power outages. Thousands were stranded across the cities. There have been delays and hundreds of flights have been cancelled. Several drivers in North Carolina and Virginia were stuck in snow. Drivers also reported losing control on icy patches. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper has asked residents to stay off the roads. Emergency crew and the U.S. National Coast Guards are working around the clock to clear traffic accidents on major roads. U.S. President Donald Trump has lashed out at former FBI Director James Comey. Trump claimed that Comey gave a false testimony to the U.S. Congress over handling of Russia probe Trump took to Twitter to hit out at Comey. The US president's tweet read, "Leaking James Comey must have set a record for who lied the most in Congress on one day. His Friday testimony was so untruthful. The whole deal is a rigged fraud headed by dishonest people who would do anything so that I could not become president." Unquote. Trump even listed a number of times Comey told the investigators that he did not know or recall or that he could not remember things.
You made in 2016 on the Clinton campaign and Trump.
Washington has set a hard deadline for trade talks with Beijing. U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer said that the trade negotiations between the U.S. and China need to reach a successful end by the 1st of March. He added that in case the talks lead to no fruition, then Washington will impose new tariffs. Lighthizer said, and I quote, "The way this is set up is that at the end of 90 days, these tariffs will be raised." Unquote. Lighthizer has been roped in to lead the trade negotiations with China, and now he has tamped down expectations that the negotiation period could be extended. A group of women in Bolivia have started a unique protest. The Bolivian women threw paint at the country's Supreme Electoral Tribunal as a sign of protest against President Evo Morales. The women are angry at the president's decision to run for a fourth term in 2019. The women chanted "Democracy in my country" in reference to a 2016 referendum when 51% voters rejected Morales' proposal to end term limits. Morales, however, was given the green light to run for presidency again. The move came after the Socialism Party asked the courts to rescind legal limits barring elected authorities from seeking re-election indefinitely. Various monuments and shops have reopened after the Saturday protest. Tourists said that they needed to make slight changes in the plans, but they have not encountered any major problems so far. French President Emmanuel Macron broke his silence over a tweet. Macron appreciated the police, however. The experts pointed out how France has failed to deter protesters despite deployment of 89,000 troops. Saturday's rioting left 71 people injured in Paris alone. There were also massive damages to some properties. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that his military would continue Operation Northern Shield and that his army would continue to thwart and destroy cross-border tunnels from Lebanon. Netanyahu had added that Israel is working on the political and military arena to condemn Hezbollah in Iran. And Israel is also wants to increase the sanctions against both Iran and Hezbollah. Netanyahu said, and I quote, "Hezbollah has become an integral and central part of the sovereign state of Lebanon, and that's the reason that if, God forbid, rockets are fired from Lebanon to Israel, we will see it as an act of war of Lebanon." Unquote. Yemen's internationally recognized government and the Houthi forces met on Sunday for the fourth day of the UN-sponsored peace talks. The warring parties tried to hammer out details of a prisoner exchange. There was optimism on first steps towards the political dialogue. The government delegation said that the atmosphere was positive and there is a progress towards implementation of prisoner swap. Houthis said that they are ready for exchange and that it could include rebel fighters that are held at undisclosed locations abroad. The peace talks are being held at Stockholm in Sweden. At least 13 people were killed and 20 others were injured when a bus ferrying a basketball team overturned in Colombia. The accident occurred at Valdelcoca. Authorities are now investigating the cause of the accident. Some eyewitnesses have claimed that driver had warned the passengers about a problem with the brakes of the bus. Authorities have hinted that the accident may have been caused by brake failure, adding that the road in which the bus was travelling is filled with curves and turns. Now there's a trouble in store for Somali President Mohammed Abdullah. The top officials of Somali's parliament administration said that he has filed an impeachment motion against President Abdullahi. In the impeachment motion, the president has been accused of secretly signing agreements with several countries, including Ethiopia and Eritrea. The agreements touched on the use of Somali ports and economic and security cooperation. The motion has been filed with the Speaker. After the consent of at least 92 lawmakers, the Somali parliament may now debate the motion after a week. Greenpeace activists projected a message on the venue of the COP24 UN Climate Conference in Katowice. The message read, "No hope without climate action. Politicians talk, leaders act." The Greenpeace activists demanded urgent action from the world leaders to tackle climate change. The first week of the climate talk ended on a sour note. The US sided with Russia, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait in blocking endorsements of a landmark study on global warming. Singer Kid Rock paid off the layaway items of hundreds of Walmart customers in Tennessee. The store manager said that the Kid Rock spent $81,000 to make the balances of 350 customers' accounts. The manager said that the Kid Rock called the Nashville store on Friday and later came into the store to make the payment. A singer said that he followed the lead of actor Tyler Perry. Perry had posted a video on Twitter saying he had laid off layaway balances at the two Georgia Walmarts. Singer Kid Rock is a partner in a bar in Nashville, where he was recently replaced as Grand Marshal from the Nashville Christmas parade due to some controversial remarks. A memorial service was held at the home of 22-year-old British tourist Grace Millane, who went missing in New Zealand. Millane has been missing since the 1st of December. New Zealand police has said that they found a body that they believe is Millane's. Police said that the body was in a forested area. It was found about 10 meters from a road in Auckland's Waitakere Ranges. A 26-year-old man has already been charged with murder. He's due to make his first court appearance today. Millane was on a one-year-long trip that began in Peru. A senior UN official has said that over 150 countries will join a UN conference to adopt a global pact to handle migrant flow better. UN Special Representative for International Migration has said that 150 governments have registered for the event in Morocco. In July this year, all 193 members of the UN except the US had finalized the Global Compact for safe, orderly and regular migration. The idea again was to handle migration better. A bright meteor lit up the sky of a Mexico City neighborhood in the early hours on Sunday. A video clip was shared on Twitter by Mexico City President and Henry Diaz-Henry. Henry said that the moment was captured at 5:40 a.m. local time. The Kansas City Symphony has set a new record. The symphony had the largest number of tubas being played at the same time. The symphony hosted 835 tubas at its annual Tuba Christmas event. Tubas belted out traditional Christmas carols in an hour-long concert. The symphony's executive director said that the event normally hosts over 700 tubas every year. He said they knew they would break the world record and hence had called staff from the Guinness Book to be present. Hundreds took to the streets of Germany's Mission Dorf on Sunday. They dressed up as Santa Claus and participated in the city's 10th Santa Run. Participating in the event were people across genders and age groups. Santa Run began 10 years ago as an alternative to the summer races. The idea was to encourage people to be active even during the winter months. Now, the Santa Run is also one of the biggest costumed Santa Claus runs in Europe. It comes third to only Paris and Budapest. A UK court is expected to decide today whether fugitive tycoon Vijay MALLYA will be extradited to India. MALLYA, who was the owner of now defunct Kingfisher Airlines, is wanted in India for alleged fraud and money laundering. The amount is on question is a whopping 9,000 crores. Now, 62-year-old MALLYA has argued that the case is politically motivated. MALLYA has appealed against extradition, citing the condition of Indian jails. If the verdict goes against MALLYA, then the British judge may grant him the permission to appeal in a higher court. Vijay MALLYA left India in 2016.